Good morning. Happy Sunday. Today is July 10th, 2022. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm starting a little bit early these Sundays because I get in quicker. So I'm going to start with a little bit of business real quick, just kind of give you an idea of who I am, what I'm going to talk about. I call myself an intuitive astrologer. I take the parameters and the structure of what I have learned, and then I allow myself to connect with spirit in order to look at astrology from an evolved perspective. So I go by whole sign Western astrology for the purpose of these videos. I very much want to encourage you to look at your moon sign and your rising sign almost in tandem, as if they are one. The moon represents your emotional body, how you nurture yourself, how you perceive, how you're loved, really. And your rising sign is sort of the default perception you have, whether you're extremely curious, as in like a Gemini energy, or you're Capricorn, so you're more stoic. These are the perceptions that you start off with. And then the sun represents our vitality, of course, but it also represents how we project ourselves out into the world, how we would like people to perceive us. So I think it's important to look at the moon, look at the transits of the moon. I know the moon goes very quickly in its transits, so it's even more palatable for you to see that as the moon zips around every month and it hits certain points, how that might correlate to the experiences you're having or how you're feeling in the world. So that's that. And then I want to say next Saturday, July 16th from 11 a.m. to about 1 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be doing the second webinar that's based on the nodal structure. We're going to be looking at the planets in relation to the nodes and how that indicates your soul's sort of habitual energies by the South Node and what your intention is for this lifetime. What kind of where your focus is, where you want to feel empowered and you want to feel purposeful and you want to feel intentional. I don't like to think of things as lessons. I don't think the universe is trying to teach us anything as much as we personally are trying to feel the power of our own magical manifestation as we come under the veil. And so I don't think there's anybody up there running the show. So if you'd like to join the webinar, email me through my email link in the description. And the fee is $29.99. And again, that's going to be next Saturday from 11 a.m. to about 1 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. So those are my little business. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Sean, Cece Pups, Juan, Small Wildflowers. It's great to see you again in the room. Katerina, posted up. Michelle, wonderful to see you. Okay, everybody. All right. So this week we have some interesting dynamics. Hi, Sheena is. We've got some things stationing for retrograde. And Chiron is one of them. It's not actually going to go retrograde this week. It's going to happen on the 19th. And Jupiter is stationing to start to go retrograde, slowing its roll down. And we have Neptune holding pattern at 25 degrees Pisces as it's in retrograde, and it's going to be there. It's been at 25 degrees for, I think, the last couple of weeks, and it will continue to be at 25 degrees for the next few weeks, which is very significant, I think, in the idea that when a planet stations to go retrograde or to go direct, it has 5 times more power. It's kind of sitting and holding its ground. So Chiron represents the wound that we have. And it's a double-edged sword because Chiron is also the gift. So as it's stationing, it's in Aries right now. So it's affecting the United States. The United States has its natal Chiron at 20 degrees Aries. I believe Chiron's at 16 degrees right now. I forgot to write down the degree. But I think this is super important because as it goes retrograde in Aries, I think it represents a lot of different dynamics. I don't think it necessarily means that I have to go to war or I have to be super aggressive, but more about how do I want to perpetrate the higher vibrations of what Aries represents, which is the pioneer, the hero, the fireman that's willing to go in and save, is selfless. So how can we look at Chiron as it's stationing to go retrograde, giving us an opportunity until December, along with Saturn and Neptune. Jupiter will be joining the party. And all of these things are giving us an opportunity. And I forgot, Pluto is already retrograde. Uranus will go retrograde in August. So these next few months, the summer months and the fall months, are giving us an opportunity to decide not what we believe, but how we want to be an example of what we believe. I was watching, me and my television, I was watching an old episode of Quantum Leap the other day. And it was very interesting because a lot of the episodes that were being shown were sort of this, throwbacks to women becoming more exercising their rights, their voice, and women's lib, for lack of a better term. And I thought it was interesting with the politics of today, how we're kind of revisiting this idea. And one of the things that I thought was so significant about this episode was that the leader of the protests and of the, fighting for her equal rights, she inadvertently was kind of coming from her damage, coming from her Chiron, coming from her wound. So she wanted to fight force with force. And this is where I feel like, how can we be more connected to source energy and really focus on the dynamics we want to experience, the law of attraction, and using that dynamic as our sword, which is really Aries truth, which is where Chiron is about to go retrograde, as is Jupiter. So Jupiter is going to represent our beliefs. It's going to expand things. There's going to be this idea of, I kind of think of it as Jupiter can be idealistic in some ways, really being able to see the big picture and putting itself into expansion in that way. I feel like there's a and then on the challenging side, we're feeling expanded in our beliefs as far as our passions for them, which may make us want to go toe to toe. I don't know if toe to toe is the way to go, as it's more like, I'm going to be so obnoxious again. I want to be the change. I want to start to try to perpetrate that. Not easy to do. Not easy to do at all. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the other things that are going on this week. Today, the sun is sextiling Uranus, which is sort of a way to have some sort of innovative, kind of really creative inspirations. On the 12th and the 13th, we're going to see Venus around the 12th, 13th, even maybe into the 14th. We're going to see Venus making a trine to Saturn, which is sort of a nice energy. It's sort of a cooperative energy. We're going to see us reviewing our structures and how they're playing out and how we are perpetrating how we are walking through the structures of our life. Do they bring value to us? Do we feel good? Am I expressing my voice? At the same time, Neptune and Venus are making a square. So I think that this is kind of significant because Venus may experience some awareness or the revealing of illusion, but yet Saturn is going to trine that energy to make it more palatable for her to make the shift. So, meaning a shift to seeing a wisdom. If there has been the revealing of an illusion, the revealing of a deception, if there's been some sort of lie by omission is the way I want to put it. We have the full moon in Capricorn on the 13th. I have a separate video coming out for that, so I'll address that in there. And one of the biggest things that I think is important this week is Mercury is going to be in conjunction with the sun at 24 degrees on the 16th in Cancer. 24th degree is the Piscean degree. Mercury is our thoughts, our words, what we hear, what we talk, what we speak, what we teach. The sun is our will and our consciousness, and Cancer is our home, our property, and our patriotism and our nurturing, the way we nurture ourselves and others. And I've been kind of getting this feeling that Mercury is kind of the unsaid malefic. And I don't want to make it terrible, but Mercury can get very caught up in the hamster loop. You know, we talk about the monkey mind. We talk about our running around and gathering bits of information. And we don't always have a chance to fact check that as we're zipping around. So I think Mercury needs to be sort of rewritten a little bit. And in doing so, not fighting against it, but my experience of humans is when they talk about their challenges, they talk about staying up at night, thinking about them. They talk about the endless talking, speaking. You know, they seem to attract through their thoughts validation of their fears, which is why Mercury is becoming a little bit of an alert for me. I need to pay attention to that. And Mercury, again, you know, is technically the fastest moving planet, always around the sun, zipping around the sun. So I think it's important this week. We're also going to be seeing on the 17th, Mercury's going to be making a trine to Neptune in the morning, and the sun will be making a trine to Neptune retrograde at 25 degrees in Pisces in the afternoon. So this could be really where we start to see things. The trine could be an easier aspect to accept some of the things that may have been concealed or not completely forthright in being disclosed. This is also an aspect that will encourage you to dream more. And I want to offer it this way, because zipping around your brain, small wildflowers. This is why I've been so, you know, Mercury's kind of got on my radar as a little bit of a challenge for me lately, because I too have been stuck in my own head. And kind of, I've got an opposition from Uranus to my natal Mercury. It's kind of moved off it, but it's going to, when Uranus goes retrograde, it's going to go back over that point. And my natal Mercury is in Scorpio, which I guess we can surmise from the transit. So it's about transforming. It's about really digging deep into, am I giving life to things that don't serve me? And rather than judging myself and expecting myself to be perfect or to be able to stop the brand, you know, we are literally, our brains are branded like cattle on a ranch from the time we are even conceived. People start talking and rubbing their belly and talking about their baby and all their dreams and hopes, and all of this is a branding. So this could be a little bit of a good energy, in the fact that Mercury and the sun trining Neptune could encourage us to dream, but it can also have kind of the flip side where, you know, we can be overly, we could kind of fall into fantasy and illusion. And then again, on the 17th, Venus will enter Cancer. And this is an interesting energy, because when Venus is in Cancer, while she doesn't mind being in Cancer, she very much wants, she tends to sort of do this energy of, if you love me, you'll know this about me. And if you love me, you'll know that about me. And I feel like this is something to be a little bit cautious of, because we want to make sure that we don't make assumptions about things. And I think this is a lifelong, at least for me, kind of energy that people would pay attention to how I process things or how I feel loved. And you know what? I think they're so busy processing how they feel loved that maybe they don't even notice it. So this week, be mindful as Venus spends some time in Cancer to feel free to openly, with the people that you love, explain to them or be open about how you feel loved. Because sometimes people do things for us and they think they're showing us love, and we don't get it. And then it's just the opposite. So I think this is an important time for Venus to be to be looked at in a way that, when she's in Libra, which she rules, she can be a little passive aggressive there. She can be a little bit giving up her power there to the partnership. And this is where it kind of correlates to me, because Cancer naturally squares Libra, and yet there's a lot in common there for me. So I want to encourage you as she walks through this energy. And I want to offer this too, because the United States has a stellium, including Venus in Cancer. It has Venus and Jupiter, the Sun, and Mercury, and something else I can't really remember. It's a point. So as Venus is going through Cancer, it's also going to be hitting the points of the United States in a house that it rules nurturing, self-nurturing, patriotism, home and hearth, in a dynamic which is about transformation, aka the 8th house. So as we are aware of this, and we're also aware of the information we're absorbing, Mercury conjunct the Sun, we can be more intentional about how we process things. And if for some reason we can't process it in a way that feels constructive, the awareness is enough to keep us in alignment with a bigger picture of what we want. Jules, I got to agree with you. There's so many upcoming conjunctions and transits that are going on. I've been very much feeling like a bit of a fight with myself, trying not to worry. And trying is a resistant energy. Worry is a lack of faith. And being positive when I feel negative feels like I'm throwing gasoline on the fire. So what I've been doing is asking Spirit to give me experiences that anchor in the deeper truth of what I know. And I also had this image in my meditation of us as a tribe being little lighthouses around in our own little places in the world. And lighthouses do their best work during a storm. So I feel like it's super important to tuck in, and rather than trying to stave off worry, engaging Spirit to not only give us experiences to support our security, but also asking for the ability to take in those signs and omens. I looked at my calendar this week and it was full, and I couldn't feel abundant. I could look at it and I could see that some of the things I'd been inspired to do were taking root. And at the same time, I still felt that wave of back and forth of not feeling quite on solid ground. So I think that it's in those moments that we get to remember that we aren't little islands. And even though we have a point of attraction and a point of focus, we're still in a big sea, and there is a weather going on that is beyond us. So sometimes it's about being super flexible as things are going like this. When you're river rafting, if you're stiff in that boat, or not a boat, it's a raft, but if you're stiff, you're falling out. You're going off the side and down the river in the cold, cold water, okay? But if you're flexible and you're willing to go with the stream, the chances are you're going to get out with a good time. A good time. It's fun. So that's where I'm going with this. I'm going to start our readings now. I don't know if you guys, I can't remember, but I'm going to remind you, I'm going to start with Cancer and work our way to Gemini. When we go into Leo season, I'll be starting with Leo, working my way to Cancer. And this is sort of my new role to help purport and to foster balance. All right. Welcome, Janine. Did I miss anybody else? Did I say hi to Michelle? I think I said hi to Jules. Yeah. Oh, I sent you one a long time ago, hon. Michelle, reach out to me, because I did. I sent you things and I didn't hear back from you. So I don't know if I went in your junk mail, but anyway. All right, guys, let's go on to our readings. Let's start with our tarot card and see what's going on for Cancer. Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you, Sun Love. Here we are. Hi, Joe Schmo. Look at this, the 10 of Cups, Cancer. This is a beautiful energy. And I really want to offer that this is home, hearth. This is where my cups feel full. There is celebration, there is joy. And we know, I believe Venus is moving into your sign. Did I write down the day? Because that will be super fun. She enjoys being there on the 17th. So I want to offer it this way. For my Cancers, the first thing I want to say is focus on the things that make you feel secure, happy, home, hearth. I don't know if I said it last week. I've been talking a lot. I spend my life talking, but in my struggle and in my worry, Abraham teaches to focus on things that bring you joy, and they don't have to be big things. So my thing has been my stupid fingernails. Okay. When I'm feeling stressed out, I'm like, I love the way my fingernails look. I love the way my house is. I love the way, and I just start to poke around because I think for my Cancers, this is an important energy for you because there are good things there. And as you focus on them, I think we're going to see them reveal themselves in a bigger way. So let's look and see what the spread has to say. Okay, here we go. Cancer rising and moon, sun and stelliums. And if you're a Cancer moon, I really want this energy of the 10 of Cups to be like, take a second look because you have an opportunity to feel really abundant when the rest of the world may tell you there's no abundance to be had or that things are rocky. Okay, Archangel Michael just flew out of the deck. Then we have Shanti, the angel of peace. Then we have Grace and Antoinette, the angel of compassion. And then we have Seraphina, a happy change is coming to your home. Okay. I kind of want to emphasize this as we move forward over the next couple of literally years, okay? Because as Pluto makes its transits, which we know are slow, and it comes to those degrees of Capricorn that I think are the master degrees. It's where it's come through the whole sign, and now it's time to really take everything we've learned and stop staring at the past and start to implement the Phoenix rising. So I think that as we move forward and we see some of these disruptions and these overturning of significant rulings, okay, that are important, I feel like rather than, again, meeting anger with anger, it's like thinking of what's my point of attraction. And when I pay attention to that, especially from a Cancer ruling motherhood, ruling home and hearth, okay, Spirit, I'm going to have the courage to go about this in a different way. And what is it? My being energy. Well, I'm going to focus in on victory. There's a deeper wisdom to all of this disruption. And part of my job as a lighthouse on this planet, as a person who is walking through this planet, aware of my soul's intention, aware of a bigger part of me that is not on this planet. I am not completely here. I'm not completely here because there's a lot of me that is holding space for the highest vibration of what I can live on this planet. So, Cancer, your opportunity and or your obstacle is to focus in on peace and love. And tuck into your family. Enjoy yourself. Have game night if you have a family. If you're single, do something nice for yourself, something that nurtures yourself, because it is a time for you to exercise compassion. And sometimes the compassion is not just about being able to see other people, poor people, the dog, the ASPC dog commercials and all that, but the compassion for the person who is inflamed, or compassion for a person who is in a state of swirl that they can't get out of, because your power and strength will come from being calm, from being a peaceful warrior and stretching. And this is how I know I channeled spirit, because this is not the Aries Teri. I look out and I'm like, look, buddy, step it up. That's me as a human. As a channel spirit, I can see that when somebody is acting like what I think is a little bit off kilter, then maybe something deeper is going on. And rather than having a reaction, we have to be very, very aware of it, because these are inflamed times, because you're being offered a change to your family in a happy way. Good things are happening for you, Cancer. And now is a time to remain optimistic about those things, regardless of what's going on outside the world. And I want to say this too, because Cancer, especially the late born Cancers, have been having Pluto sort of opposing you for quite some time. And obviously Pluto is always a slow transit. But in that opposition, there's a real feeling of somebody else being able to have power over me, that I'm out of control. And I feel like this is where your point of attraction, where you're giving your focus, where you're, and then having compassion as you kind of wiggle your way through the waters of that. And then again, engaging spirit to help you anchor that in through experiences. And then I want to double down by saying, and make sure I can see and feel those experiences. Because one of the things I've noticed is spirit brought a lot of signs and omens in for me this last few weeks. And I still kind of am keeping this worry vibration. I just can't seem to quite shake it. And then I look at Saturn's on my Chiron. Pluto is squaring my ascendant, my Mars. A lot of going on in my chart. So when I know these things and I look at them, I'm like, okay, just try to breathe. All right. That's very good news for Cancer, by the way. And frankly, you deserve it. You haven't had great news in a long time. These planets are not, they're not here to pull us under, but they certainly are requiring innovation. I feel like a real rebel, because I keep feeling like when I look at other astrologers, they go back to ancient times and they talk a lot about ancient times. I recently heard somebody talking about a sultan, or somebody who had multiple wives, which is interesting, but those times are so far removed from what we are now that it feels a little like the planets have evolved past those moments, which is why I'm more and more concerned about Mercury being a little bit of a challenging planet versus the neutral planet that everybody thinks it is. Because sometimes I think Mercury is like Gladys Kravitz and just spreading gossip and propaganda. All right. No offense to Mercury-ruled people. Not everything is bad. We're looking at the dynamics. All right, we're going on to our Leos. Hi, Just Call Me C. Welcome to the room. Good to see you. Hi, Sean. Hi, Katie P. Okay, here we go. Leo. We have the Four of Pentacles. This is an interesting energy, because this is an energy of abundance. But at the same time, there's this hoarding. It's a fear that my resources might dry up, so I'm holding them. And I'm not even holding them in a way that's comfortable. I'm holding them in a way that's quite awkward. So let's see where this is happening, because if you look at this also, this guy's wearing a crown. So Leo is a king. So there's a certain amount of abundance attached to this. And yet at the same time, obviously this guy doesn't feel very good about it. Awesome, Shelley. Good for you. All right, here we go. Leo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I really think moon is super important. I don't know why I can't get that first out of my mouth. I think it's probably just, I'm so used to saying it the way I say it, but they're on a par, because the moon is how you feel. So let's see where you might feel a little stuck. Archangel Michael's coming up again in the foundational position, having courage. Then we have Azure in the opportunity or the obstacle. We have Archangel Uriel in the angel's advice. And then we have Celeste. Very interesting. Oh, the Four of Pentacles, Joe. The budget warning card. Yeah. It's also kind of what I think too, is that If there's too much focus on hoarding your money, then inadvertently you're in lack. So it's kind of a fine line between being budget mindful and not being too cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, hoarding your money. Okay, Leo. Archangel Michael is being joined by the Fear card. Azure is being joined by the Risk card. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Joy card. And Celeste is being joined by the Water Fairy. Leo is a fixed sign. And while it's a fixed sign, it rules the most fun and kind of the most vulnerability. In the sense of this, Leo rules the heart. So, and Leo is also the performer. So without an audience, whatever Leo is expressing, when we're creative, we need an audience. We need an audience to applaud us. It's part of the process of being a creative individual or being a creative soul and putting ourselves out there. So here we go. Archangel Michael is asking Leo to have courage into identifying where your fears are. And I want to offer it this way, because I think that sometimes, we'll say things like, why does this always happen to me? Or I'm so sick of this, or this is my repetitive experience. And again, we have to go back to the universal laws and the point of attraction and cause effect, because now, again, we get to focus in on where we want to go, what we want to experience. One of the things I keep saying to myself is that, why now am I so triggered to loss? The South Node is going through Scorpio, which hits my Mercury. Mercury is my people, my community, my clients on some level. And 19, 20 years ago, when this happened, I lost everything I own. So I have this little weird memory of being less than. But at the time when that all happened, I was at a different vibration. So this is where I'm going with this, because Leo, you have to have the courage to face your fears. And are you sitting on an old story of lack and you're just going on? This always happens to me, because that fixed sign of you will be kind of stuck in it. And you'll be like, I want the universe to prove to me something different. But the universe can't prove to you anything different, because it only can give you what you put in. So now it's time to risk believing that what you want is coming to you. And it's time not to force anything. This is my main thing, is like, I have this weird vibration about giving discounts and about, having promotional things, because I always feel like there's lack attached to it. And so that was part of, like, I did a special over the 4th of July, and I did a very deep special. And I made it very limited. And I kind of felt like Spirit was doing a couple things for me, because Spirit was helping me identify the lack. Then they were showing me how I created abundance. And then they were also giving me an opportunity to put in healthy boundaries as people started poking around the perimeters and wanting to kind of, change it up. Because I think this risk is really about your contribution by being frustrated. Archangel Uriel is dealing with frustration, and now there's the Joy card. So, and we finally end with Celeste and the Water Fairy. And I could take this two ways, because some of you may feel challenged in your job. You may feel like you want to leave your neighborhoods or move, but Celeste always is a way of thinking for me. When you're talking about a fixed sign of Leo, being able to shift the way you think will shift your emotional body. And this isn't about trying to be perfect. It's more about just an identification. Oh, I had that line of thought. The whole world would tell me, of course you need to be concerned about that. Of course you need to put focus on that. You have no money. Save all your money. And then your ability to see from a bigger perception that fear will block sometimes. So it's about this sort of, as Joe said, it's about being able to see the warning and not take on the fear, but rather risk focusing in on what we want to experience, which then gives the universe an opportunity to support and to facilitate an experience that I want to use the word support again. And I'm trying to find something else in my head, but that gives you roots for something new. I had a couple of gals here this last weekend. And sometimes I've been doing this. I used to be so good with administrative things, oh, how did, and I'm not anymore. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And these two gals drove down from LA and they told me they read about me on a Facebook page. I was like, really? I don't even know what this Facebook page is. I have no idea. It doesn't have anything to do with my Facebook because I don't nurture my Facebook page. So this was another sign from the universe that when I put my focus in and then I'm honest with them, hey, I got a wobble. I got a really bad wobble and I don't want that wobble to take hold. I don't want that wobble to take hold. Help me. And so it wasn't just them booking the appointments and the fact they would drive an hour or something to come see me, but the idea also that there are people talking about me that I don't even know about that are supporting my work. And that's not what I think about when I'm in scarcity. I only think about what the bad the bad stuff is. So, Leo, I know that you have plenty of evidence that bad stuff could happen, but maybe it's time to just change the story just a little bit. And again, there I go to Mercury, my thoughts. Okay, Virgo, what's your tarot card? The Wheel of Fortune. Gosh, I love these major arcana cards. I don't know if it is the one she created. I don't think so. I don't think it is because I don't know if that thing gets any traffic. But anyway, regardless. And thank you, CJD, for being so beautiful to create that page for me. All right, Virgo, the Wheel of Fortune is here. Now, I love this card. And obviously, when we're doing a tarot spread, we know whether we're going up the wheel or down the wheel, and we'll figure that out when we look at the angels. But I want to offer it this way, because at the top of the wheel right now is that Sphinx. And that Sphinx is holding a sword. And the sword always represents our thoughts. And so I feel like at the top of the wheel, this character feels as if she's, I don't know why I want to make the Sphinx a she, but as if she's sort of aware of her thoughts and she's good. It's good for her. She's got a certain sense of mastery sitting here. And I think too, that there's we in the video I did about the 12 universal laws, there's the law of transmutation. Everything is a constant state of evolvement. So I think when I look at this for Virgo, I feel like there's an awareness to that. And in the awareness, I'm able to actually plug into the various elements that support me coming up the wheel. Let's see. And I got to tell you guys, I bit my tongue the other day. So bad. I was rushing, eating in between clients. So if I talk a little funny, I'm healing there. And then, yeah. All right, Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Grace and Antoinette. The second is Rosetta. The third is Archangel Raphael. And the final is Isaiah. All right, Virgo, Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Focus card. Rosetta is being joined by the Joy card. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Baird. And Isaiah is being joined by the Disruption card. This was so interesting to me because as I pulled the angel cards and I saw Rosetta, it says on the face of the card, you have a divine life's purpose in teaching. And so I immediately connected to the mercurial energy of the teacher. So here we go. I think that this is for Virgo, compassion for the focus you have had. I don't think that it's about trying to judge yourself, because I really think we want to take that off the table for Virgo. I think we want to remind ourselves that Virgo represents the naive, the virgin. And so this is where we actually have an opportunity to realize that the virgin has no experience. So she's going through all of these processes new, and it's a discovery. And part of this is now rediscovering your focus. The focus card is a 33. So the 33 is the master number of the teacher. And I think that on its shadow side, Virgo can be a perfectionist. Virgo can be a little bit critical. So here, this compassion of self, as you realign your focus to where you want to be, what you want to do, clotted cream. Anybody out there? Clotted cream. Because I think this is about teaching yourself how to enjoy things. And as you do that, you actually teach others. And I look at it because I feel like this is a little bit of rewriting your history, of having an epiphany that I don't need to let Mercury rule my thoughts in a way that feels out of control. I can acknowledge that wobble, and then I can go back and allow myself to enjoy something a little bit more, because I think what this disruption card is, a divine disruption. This has been coming to me lately, and it feels like I'm disrupting my old focus. I tried to make you laugh, Juan. I was doing that on purpose. Because here's Isaiah saying you're being protected, Virgo, as you go and you experience new things. And here's the disruption card, because on some level, Virgo, being of service to others, being, the ultimate employee, the slave, if you're going and doing things for yourself, this may feel disruptive to you. You may feel a little like, oh my God, this is what's expected of me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. But at this moment in time, I think this is going to make you a more powerful in the other areas of your life. Meaning, as you're aware and you're like more compassionate with yourself, as you start doing whatever little things you enjoy. It doesn't have to be, traveling and trekking up, some big mountain. It could be just giving yourself permission to actually enjoy laying around and doing nothing, because I think that there's going to be a wisdom that comes from all of this, a wisdom that Archangel Raphael offers us, a balancing act as we start telling a new story. And that's where this all comes in. I got to tell you, there can be, I've had a lot of Virgos in my life, and some of them are just really kind of, I don't want to make everybody, but some of the women Virgos that I've had to work with are not work with intuitively. I mean, in a friendship level, really hard on me, kind of expecting me to always be perfect and not giving me a break for being a human. And I get mad about that stuff. I'm like, why do you get to be a mess? And why do I have to be perfect all the time? So I've had challenges with that. But I don't think that has to stay that way, because I think when those people come into my life, I get to be okay with the fact that I'm fabulously flawed. So anyway, I ran off on a little tangent there. Well, who's this new person in our room? Welcome. I want to call you Gargoyle because I don't know how to say the first part of your name. All right, here we go. We are on to our Libras, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. There is the Ace of Pentacles. And, lately when I look at these cards, I see them through the screen, not like I'm doing a reading. So I've really been focused on the secret garden that's coming up. Okay. And I feel like there's something coming in the tangible world. Let's see what that is, because the aces always infer an infusion of the energy. The pentacles are always going to be about the material. So let's see where we're going with this. Hi, Audacity Theater. Welcome, welcome. All right, let's see. Libra, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. The Ace of Pentacles is being joined by Grace and Antoinette. Then we have Opal. Then we have Caressa. And we have Akasha, the teacher. Your ruling planet Venus is going to move into Cancer this week on the 17th. And it puts a real focus on home and hearth. And this might be where we're going with this. Let me look and see a little bit, because as it moves into Cancer, it's going to make a natural square to Libra. And I'm wondering, what does Spirit want you to have compassion for? Your choices, Libra. Then we have Opal and the Goblin. We have Caressa and the Wind Fairy. We have Akasha, the teacher, and the protection card. Well, this is very interesting to me because I'm a Libra sun. And when I look at this, is a compassion for your choices, Libra. And, I think sometimes personally, I've got a double Venus influence with my moon is ruled by Venus. My sun is ruled by Venus. And sometimes I can be a little grandioso. And I'll be like, I can do this. I can, not spend any money for 6 months and pay off my bills. And then, that's nonsense. Because I think that this is really about compassion for your choices, not judging your choices. Because if you've been spending too much money, money will come. I really am laughing because I feel like I'm talking to myself. Because here we have the Goblin, which is the wounded human ego. And there's Opal talking about God being in charge of your children. Well, you are a child of source energy, and you've been edging God out. So you've probably been overthinking things a little bit, Libra, because here in the Angel's Advice is the Wind Fairy and Caressa saying that you're at the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you. And then we have Akasha, the teacher, and the protection card. This is where I'm going with this. This last few, I guess I can almost say since the end of April, I've been having like a meltdown about just feeling like I've been walking through mud, like I'm making some progress, but I'm not making progress. And I think I've been really hard on myself. And there's a part of me that's been like, you're fine, you're fine. The part of me is like, oh, the sky is falling, Chicken Little. So I think that this is about having compassion for yourself as you recognize maybe some of your choices were made on a wobbly platform. And now it's time to reconnect with God and the angels. What I was saying earlier, thank you for giving me experiences to anchor in my choices, because I think we're overthinking things. And if you're a late born Libra, you're like me, or if you have planets in the late sign of Libra or Aries or Cancer, you are having Pluto's influence on you right now. Am I going to die or am I going to live? Spirit wants you to know you're going to live. And this is what you're being taught. And now it's a little bit about being able to move your energy into knowing this big hand isn't your hand. It's the hand of God that's leading you to the secret garden. I get it, Small. It's hard for me to give myself grace. And then I have other, and I think I mirror that because there are people that will not give me a break. Like I do one thing wrong and they're like, forget about it. And I'm like, you know what? Get over yourself. Honestly, it really ticks me off. But that could be my Aquarius Chiron, Shelley, are you talking about small wildflowers? Are you talking about me? Who has whose chart? Okay, Libra. We're done. We're going to go on to our Scorpio, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, me? I just think I'm having a weird Saturn is sitting on my Chiron. It's like, what is Saturn in its lowest energy? It's fear, restriction, limitation in the house of hopes and dreams. I have a natural chart, so because of Aries rising. This is why I want you guys to see these things so you can look at it and be like, oh, it's not just me. I'm also walking through this weird energy, because as Chiron's been making this this conversation with transiting Saturn. And as I've become a champion of Saturn, okay, as I've been like, okay, Coach Boone, what do I need to do? He's like, you need to stop telling the old story. You need to stop telling the old story. We are winning. And this is where I go back and forth, because that old story is mercurially branded on my brain and therefore on my heart. So that's where the gentility comes in, where the compassion comes in, as there's an awareness to it, and then not getting too judgy to try to move it. So here we go. All right, Scorpio. Oh, this is a nice one. This is a contract card. This is a card of teamwork. This is Capricorn and Mars energy together, working to create structure, to create something new. We see that the two people coaching I don't even know if this guy's an apprentice, because I would assume he has skill, because they're asking him to implement their plan. So let's see what this has to do for you, Scorpio. I agree with you, Small Wildflowers. It's been super, super tough. I even bought new boots and they came with that on them. I was like, really? But I just think it's partially, I really believe this is part of the ascension, because what I think we're going to end up doing is becoming more aware of our mind and our focus of our mind, and start to use that energy to direct the universe to give us new experiences. So when people say, how are you thriving during all of these challenging times? We'll be saying, I'm not looking over there. Okay, Scorpio, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Let's see where this contract's coming in. Let's see where Capricorn is making, and Mars are making a cooperative effort. Athena says it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. Sonia, your team is with you. Azure, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. And Yvonne is about vulnerability. All right. Athena is being joined by the disruption card. Sonia is being joined by the cow. Azure is being joined by the risk card. And Yvonne's being joined by the power and strength card of the dragon. Okay. You know, Scorpio gets a rap for being super intense, and it is. But you know something? I think that Scorpio is, again, I'm like the most rogue astrologer. All the planets that everybody else talks about being all loving and nice, like Jupiter and Venus, I have little issues with. And all the planets they talk about being mean and awful, I have an affinity for. Because I really think that what this is about how do you show up in your contractual relationships, and are you asserting yourself in a loving way, or are you being too dominant? Are you being too forceful? Because in this angel's advice is your team. And I also kind of saw Sonia, which represents a deceased loved one. What does Scorpio represent? The deceased, dying. And this is telling you, you're not dying. You're actually coming into a place of abundance, but it's time to nurture yourself, to risk, stop telling the old Plutonian story of death and destruction, and start to tell the story where you win. Because this is the flip side of Scorpio. It's billionaires, not millionaires. It's billionaires. It's people like, Elon Musk and powerful people that have a lot of control over things and over other people's money. And it doesn't have to be negative. It could be in a very benign and benevolent way, because now is a time for Scorpio not only to be aware of your power and to shift how you're not being too forceful, but actually opening up in a more and I don't want to say loving in a condescending way where you're like, oh, I love you so much. It's more about thinking about how your words are vibrational. And when you send out words, you send a ripple effect. And okay, I don't know if I told you this story last week, but I live near this hotel, right? And there's a kid here who's like a surfer, and he comes off like he's so chill. But when you piss him off, he's super aggressive. I've seen him, like, he gets all chesty and he gets in someone's face. That to me is Pluto run amok. So I say it because now you're kind of a little more vulnerable to your power, and you're starting to really look at the psychology of who you're dealing with, because Pluto rules psychology. Now you're starting to get where you want to go, because you're starting to be more vulnerable to not being overly powerful, but being more of a relatable power, being a, how can I say it, a cooperative component within the within the project, within whatever they're I got distracted by Eric. I'm sorry. What I want to say is that I think that this is about looking at how you inspire others to become a team player with you versus being a little bit too forward about it. And as you do that, you will see how others look to you for leadership in a more how do I want to put it? I guess I want to say this. I feel like, because something, that forcefulness, I don't want to be mean to Scorpio, but I kind of think if the devil was a sign, he'd be Scorpio, because he'd be tall, dark, and handsome. He'd be sexually alluring. He'd have a lot of money, and he'd dress really well, and he'd just be very seductive. So now it's about using those powers in a way that's transformational versus the opposite, which is dominating and overly aggressive or pushy. Okay, we're going to go on to our Sagittariuses. I'm not sure what's going on, but Eric, we're going to send you some love and some energy, to be calm and let the universe work for you. Okay, let's go on. Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our tarot card for Sagittarius is the Knight of Swords. The first thing I thought when I saw this is slow down. Don't be running out. Don't charge ahead too quickly right now, Sagittarius. I don't know why I want to say that. So let's look and see what the tarot has to say. The angel deck has to say. The knights for me always kind of represent a youthful energy. The energy of sort of a teenager, or an energy of the human when it's in its prime physical form. Now here, when we see the knight in of swords, there's a mental aspect to this. There is a quick thought, a quick jumping to a conclusion potentially. And we want to make sure that we're on solid ground and we're seeing things clearly, because right now he's moving so fast. I'm not sure he can see, that he's actually running up against the wind. The trees would indicate that the wind is blowing, and this guy seems to be running up against the headwind is the way I want to put it. Caressa is our first angel for our Sagittariuses. The second is Bridget. The third is Archangel Gabriel. And the final is Astera. For those of you that might be new to the room, I've started with the sign of the month, and I'm working my way around the zodiac. So we started with our Cancers, and we are working our way to Gemini. Next month, we'll start with Leo and work our way to Cancer. It's my little Libra sun wanting to be fair to all the signs and make sure everybody gets their moment to feel like they're first. Okay, Sagittarius, Caressa says you're at the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you, and it's time to claim your joy. Bridget is saying look deeper, and she's being joined by the serpent, which is very interesting to me. Your ruling planet is about to go retrograde in Aries. That could be very much makes sense to me. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the forgiveness card. And Astera is being joined by the horse. Very, very interesting. Okay. We kind of start with this guy charging off into, I'm not sure he's quite sure where he's going. He's just like, let's just go and I'll figure it out when I get there. And I think there's a little bit about slowing your roll, because Caressa and the joy card to me are more about sitting in that meditation, sitting in this place of sort of taking an inventory of things. When we're moving quickly, we're usually moving towards a challenge of some kind. The human naturally does that. They look for the holes in the Swiss cheese. They don't look for where things are filled. So I really believe that this is an opportunity for you not only to claim your joy, but to also see the joy that already exists within your life. Because Bridget is saying to look deeper here. And for some reason, I normally think of this as shedding a new skin, but I'm looking at this as knowledge today. Because Sagittarius rules higher educational opportunities, master's degrees, PhDs, very philosophical, broad thoughts. And I think it's a little bit of an opportunity for you to look deeper into what you know. Because I say that because Archangel Gabriel would be ruling Gemini communication for me. All the things that I'm absorbing through everybody else's communications, and the forgiveness card is a reconciliation for me. I'm a Taurus moon, and frankly, very few people in my life have apologized in an authentic way that made me actually be able to just forget about it. Most of them are like, that's, especially my family, that's who I am. Get over yourself. And I don't get over it because I'm a Taurus moon. So now, as I know that I get to claim my joy because I'm willing to implement the knowledge I have been working so hard to achieve. And there it is, the reconciliation of all those crappy experiences that have led me to a place of empowerment. I said to somebody the other day in a reading, get up on the vista of what you've created. Stop trying to keep going up the mountain. The human naturally is always going, I need to work on this. I need to look at my childhood. I need to da-da-da-da-da-da. If we would take more of an inventory of where we've been and how much work we've already done, then we could sit on that platform, which creates a new momentum. Because Astera is telling Sagittarius to reach for the dreams, reach for your dreams, reach to the stars with your dreams and desires, and don't compromise. And now the horse is asking you to really ride away from the old story. It's always going to be there. You can go visit the old story whenever you want. But if you really want to experience joy, then I think it's about implementing an inventory. As we walk into these retrogrades and Jupiter, your ruling planet, is going to go retrograde, it's time to review your beliefs and to applaud yourself for your expansion. We don't do that. We don't look and say, man, I've worked super hard. I get to applaud myself. We just look at, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. This isn't right. That's not right. My butt's too big. My boobs are too small. My bank account's not big enough. I think this is a great opportunity to really take in and think of yourself like in a whole new way, to really implement the knowledge you've gained. Okay, let's go on to our Capricorns, my goats, my little baby goats. Shelly's leaving us. Bye, Shelly. Have a good weekend. Have a good week. Sending lots of love to you. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the room. Okay, here we go. Let's go on to our Capricorns. What is your tarot card? The Two of Wands. This is really it's where the man is holding, this character is holding the world in his hands, and he's looking out over his kingdom. And it's interesting because the Two and the Three of Wands feel very similar to me in some ways. And in the Two, what I'm seeing is this gentleman starting to really see the possibilities of his world growing. That what he really wants to give birth to is possible. So let's see where we're going with this. Because Capricorn, again, if you're a late-born Capricorn, you've got Pluto conjunct your sun. Asking you to give yourself an opportunity to rise like the phoenix in how you perceive and project yourself into the world, your life force energy. Our first angel is Fiona. The second is Teresa. The third is Isabella. And the final is Vanessa. Hi, Stephen. Good to see you. Welcome to the room. All right. So Fiona talks about, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving their guidance. One of the things about Capricorn is that Capricorn is the builder. So it wants to see in the material world what it can conceive. So now that you've asked God and the angels for help, this is a time of being gentle and diplomatic as the universe starts to put the components together to show you that your new approach to manifestation is working for you. Teresa's being joined by the dragon, Isabella's being joined by the horse, and Vanessa's being joined by the dog. This is super exciting for my Capricorns because I really feel like Pluto has given you an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to take what people consider the more challenging dynamics of Saturn, and start to say, okay, it's really hard to live with Saturn when I'm not doing what I love. But when I'm doing what I love, Saturn really wants to reward me. It wants me to see in the material world my success, because here is a worry card, okay? And here is calm, cool, collected power. And this is the shift that I think that Saturn has been doing for Capricorn. It's rather than saying, these are the rules, this is how the rules have always been, this is what we do. We don't care if we like it. So now Saturn is starting to say, you know what? It's time for me to start to claim my happiness and go in a new direction. And that new direction is not worrying so much about what other people think and being calm, cool, and collected as I allow myself to rewrite the structure of my life. Because what is Pluto doing to Capricorn? Kaboom. It's going to blow up some lies. It's going to blow up some things that might have felt secure, but they was really very wobbly, because Vanessa is telling me that I believe Capricorn is starting to check into believing more that they can create from source energy, from an intention, from the energetic dynamic of, if you focus on it, you will start to receive evidence. Because here's the dog: unconditional love, loyalty, and sincerity. And what I think this is Capricorn being loyal to themselves and their new sense of their new sense of faith, which is having them examine their fears. And as they examine their fears, they realize that there's been a little bit of a platform of standing on those fears. I think I've shared some stories with you guys. And one of the things, Saturn's been really, we've been having a lot of conversations, Saturn and I, and while I know and feel Saturn's challenging influence on my Chiron right now, what I feel like he keeps saying to me is, are you going to continue to tell the old story? Is that what you're going to do? Everybody treats you like this. Everybody does this, blah, 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 blah. Because the 11th house is the house of networks. It's the house that rules the internet. And Teri, as an individual, has tried to create partnerships with people, and it just evaporates. And then I could go back onto my pity party and tell the old depressing fear-based story that Capricorn can tell. Now is the time to be gentle with yourself as spirit starts to bring you epiphanies. And you stop worrying so much about the outside world and focus in on what the world you're creating for yourself, the world you want to hold in your hands. Because now, Capricorn, it's time for you to go in a different direction. Not really pay attention to those old rules in the sense of this: do the rules serve me, or are they holding me back? Because now is a time to be loyal and sincere to yourself and have faith in yourself, because you are a builder. So as Capricorn starts to shift themselves into the lane they want to be in, or maybe even put a little more faith-based gas on the stove so we can kick up the flame and have things start to cook a little quicker. That's a crazy metaphor, but anyway, because I think that there's something happening. Because when Capricorn really assimilates this idea, then I feel as if Capricorn really gives us a big birth And this would be its co-rulership with Uranus in Aquarius, of having a new structure that gives us opportunities to expand and grow. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. That's so exciting, Stephen. Believe it. If you believe it, you will see it. That's the rule. Okay. Aquarius. Now, this is an interesting energy. The Four of Cups is a card of dissatisfaction. We can see by the nature of the character under the tree, he seems a little bit out of sorts. And because he's so focused on what is missing, he can't see what's being offered. So let's see where we're going with this. You know, this is where I kind of go straight to, if I watch too much news, and I want to be informed, don't get me wrong, but, you know, I don't even know anything about Japan's governmental regime. I know nothing. And then this week to find out that their prime minister was gunned down in the street just broke my heart. To see all those people who revered this man as someone they loved. And I'm just like overwhelmed a little bit by the gun violence right now. And it's everywhere. And so the reason I bring this up is because if you pay too much attention to the outside world, it can be very easy to feel defeated and not feel like we're going to be able to fill our cups. Everywhere we turn, there's, you know, freaking warning flags. And we have to sort of start to claim, we kind of have to look at those warning flags as if I go with them, then my focus goes with them. Yeah, Abe. Anyway. All right, Aquarius, let's see where we're going. Maya is the card of schooling and education. Isaiah is all about new beginnings and protection. Xana is about protection. And then Isabella is about moving forward. Maya is teaching you about expansion. Isaiah is talking about having our fears work for us and being protected. Xana is being joined by the high priestess, which is about discernment. And then we have Isabella and the novice starting. Okay, I want to offer this because Aquarius is again a fixed sign. And the challenge with the fixed sign is that once it makes a conclusion, it doesn't shift easily. And when we think about the idea that Aquarius is co-ruled by Saturn, Saturn doesn't shift easily. And so I feel as if maybe you're on a bit of a stretch as Saturn is going through your sign. If you have multiple planets in it, that would be one thing, but for sure your sun is there, right? Or your moon or your rising. And if that isn't happening, are you focused on what is not there? Because I believe that spirit and source energy is teaching you about wealth, and wealth isn't just about money. Sometimes it's about resources. Sometimes it's about things that come outside of ourselves. And that those things that come outside of ourselves are things that when we identify where our fears are anchoring us into a story, when we start to see that energy loosen up, then spirit has an opportunity to give us new beginnings and have our fears work for us. This is the Let It Go song. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. And this is a bit of the fight of Aquarius, because Uranus wants to, you know, do things different. I don't want to do it the old way. And then there's Saturn going, what? And this is where I think there's an opportunity for cooperation, because now I get to understand that it isn't a choice. It isn't a polarizing choice. It's an integration. So Xana's protecting me from harm as I discern not only my fears, but allow myself to move forward and use my fears to face everything and rise, or to identify false evidence appearing real, because part of it is a focus. This guy is so unhappy. I even have to think this has something to do with his security, because the red is a base chakra. And here is the blue is the communications color. Both are crossed. I'm not open to listening. I'm not open to receiving Spirit's message. And I think that's where Isabella is saying it's time to have a new beginning, and that your wealth and expansion starts when you look at the opportunities to learn from your focus. This is where I take a great solace in feeling like I have an oversoul, a part of me that knows what I don't know when I'm in the human state of fear. So when I worry about resources, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I have a lot of momentum in the right direction. So am I going to give into this momentary fear, or am I going to stretch myself to seek out the wealth and expansion that Spirit offers me as I look deeper and deeper into what am I giving life to? Up here. Okay. Let's go on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Neptune has been holding station at 25 degrees for the longest time. That is really quite an interesting energy, because I feel like this is really Neptune in some respects holding that space. And depending upon your birthday, Lucky is a March 19th. So he's the very last day of Pisces, I think. He's at least the last day of winter. And so Neptune would be in some respects hanging out on his sun. And what I think when I look at that is, am I going to make my decisions based on deceptions, on things I hope that I'm hearing that are true, and I kind of know on the inside they're not? Or am I going to trust that deeper sort of spiritual dynamic of Neptune and allow its idealism to encourage my dreams and my focus, and to be brave in when I hear something that feels a little off, not pretending that I don't know what I know? Okay, let's look and see. Oh, we're looking at our tarot card. Pisces, your tarot card is the Three of Wands, which I brought up earlier. This is a very interesting card, because this is a little further on in the idea of you are manifesting what you want your world to be. You can see the ships are out on the ocean. They're about to come into port and to offload all the things that you want. And I think the dominant yellow color here is really about how your power comes from your continued focus, even though the ships haven't quite come in yet. So kind of with Stephen, this would kind of make sense, because you're just starting this new directorship. And so you don't really know yet how it's going to play out, but you can see some evidence of what you want and what you're bringing into the world. It's pretty cool. Now let's see, let's get some focus on what, who, what, when, where, how, and why. All right, Pisces, our first angel is Francesca. The second is Crystal. The third is Chantal. And the final is Celeste. Wow, Michelle, that's a lot of Pisces. Wow, wow, wow. I'd be interested to see what all the aspects are. Okay, Francesca is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Crystal's being joined by the focus card. Chantal is being joined by the frog. And Celeste is being joined by the partnership card. This is so interesting to me, because, you know, I kind of have to say that I do think that this might have something to do more with something in the physical, literally having your ship come in, what you wanted, what you've been preparing for, what you've been planning on. When I look at the Three of Wands, the dominant colors are the red, the green, and obviously that yellow. So the green represents the heart chakra, the red robe is my base chakra, and then of course the yellow. And somewhat orange, is going to be my power chakra and my sacral chakra. So now you're being offered a rebirth, Pisces. And I think that Neptune holding space at that 25th degree is really about being brave in that Aryan dynamic of your truth, because here you have a rebirth being offered to you, and it's time to really focus in on those ships coming in and to expect everything you've been working for, everything that you've been calling forth on a spiritual level is about to transpire. And I say that because I think it's coming into the real world and literally has to do with new home or new job. Because Chantal is the angel of romance, and then there's the frog, cleaning of emotional baggage. And I feel as if Pisces falls in love with themselves again, not just because they, because I do think there's a new job coming here. Stephen is evidence of that. New job is starting, bringing in new happiness, and there's the partnership card. So what I think is happening for Pisces is there's a rebirth in the version of what you want for yourself. You're more able to go into that place of, if I can dream it, if I can think it, I can be it. I just get to focus on it and continue to trust that part of myself that knows from an intuitive level I was meant to walk through this time so I could trust my focus. Because I really believe what's being offered to you is to fall in love with yourself as you have not conquered your demons, but you have. And I say demons because that's the fear, the part of me that is unsure of myself. But as you step into this energy of seeing your ships coming in, then I feel like you really start to step into new joy and new happiness and falling in love with yourself for persevering through your unknowing. Because Celeste talks about a new home and a new place of employment, and there's the partnership card. And while I could say, Pisces, you come into partnership with your own intention, as the 3 would indicate, I actually think this is a physical partnership of some kind, a new job, a new opportunity, and it's something you've been calling forth. And now is a time to stay the course. Keep your eye on the prize. Sometimes when the human starts to get happy, they actually start to worry more than when they're in struggle, because the vulnerability of that happiness being snatched away, or that, security, money, whatever it is, it's a real sketchy place. So as you give life to the idea of like, I'm just going to stay the course. I know I get a wobble every once in a while, but I'm just going to continue to say to source, to say to God and the angels, thank you for giving me signs and omens. I'm going to pay attention to them. Something really fun is happening. And I think it's growing. So it feels like it's sort of just starting. All right, let's go on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, you've got lots of stuff going on there. Stephen in Pisces. Okay. Aries, stop defending yourself. This is a card. This 7 of Wands is really, this character, to me, there's no threat. To me, this guy is standing. He's afraid in some ways of his emotional body. He's stepping over the water, and he's got his feet precariously close to the edge here, one over here, and he's defending nothing. We don't know that those other wands are trying to hurt him. They don't seem to be able to. I'm an Aries rising, I got to tell you. And the wands represent fire. So I want to offer it this way, because if for some reason the fighting right now is trying to figure out if you can actually be who you want to be, because we have Jupiter in Aries, we have Chiron in Aries, we have both these energies stationing to move backwards. And so you may be fighting with yourself about whether or not you are really viable to bring all these wands up off the cliff and into the world that you want. So let's see. Our first angel is Archangel Uriel, frustration and anger. The second is Celeste. The third is Fiona. And the final is Crystal. I'm going to tell you guys a weird story, and I hope I don't gross you out, but let me finish the spread. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the wind fairy, Celeste is being joined by the focus card. Fiona is being joined by the dog. And Crystal is being joined by the joy card. Okay. So this last 6 months or so, since October last year, I think you guys remember Lucky got a fungus on his skin, all of this stuff. And we were going through a lot of nonsense with that. There are still remnants of he's not completely 100%. And for a while, he had soft little poopies. And I have been wanting to see a nice, good poopy lately. And I have chosen to go about healing him in a more holistic way. I've chosen, as a result of my meditations and the coaching I've been getting from Spirit, to trust my experiences with previous animals. And in doing so, am I willing to walk through the fear of that journey? And I say it this way because sometimes I feel like I'm defending myself to myself. Am I making the right decisions? Because I'm not really listening to people who have authority over me. And now, and this is interesting because we sit here in a frustration with our own thoughts. And Aries, one of the challenges, and I feel this a lot, is I get resentful sometimes of when I've been mislabeled or I've been held to a standard that other people are not held to just because I hold knowledge. I'm expected to be able to implement that knowledge in every situation. It's not true. And I told you guys earlier that I've been getting a little bit aware of Mercury's dark side. And I feel like I've been living Mercury's dark side. So Aries, if you're frustrated with what the wind fairy has to represent, your own thoughts, your own assessing of information, what's coming at you, the state of the world, because Celeste is really, now in this place, I really don't think it's about changing jobs. I think it's about shifting your focus. And this is something that I have been going back around like a pinball wizard. One minute I feel fine, the next minute I feel worried, then I feel fine, then I feel worried. I go back and forth. This is my opportunity and or my obstacle. And I think with the frustration of my own thoughts, am I going to get up my grill and expect perfection? No. What I'm going to do is ask God and the angels to help me anchor into the most loving potential thoughts I can have and to change my focus. Because Aries, in the final position, is Crystal saying, have faith and hope there's more on the horizon. And then there's the joy card. I think this is a time to be a hero in your own life, Aries. I think this is a time to stop defending how you've shown up to yourself or to anybody else. You don't have to defend yourself anymore. You've been walking through, Aries is known to be angry, known to be aggressive, and they don't really back down unless you've got some serious aspects pulling you back. So I think this is about almost like being gentle with yourself about those warrior thoughts. One of the things I noticed about myself is as Pluto's been squaring my Mars, and all those other things, my ascendant and my sun, there's been a part of me that has had a righteous feeling. Like, I'm right about this and you should listen to me. And it's become more and more obvious to me that it doesn't matter whether I'm right or wrong, but how I express those thoughts, how I say things, and what is my vibration. Because as I change my focus, I start to see things change outside of myself, and I will start to feel more cooperation, because that's where Aries transformed becomes the hero instead of just the angry warrior. Lucy Rose, I got to tell you, I agree. I think we're all there's a big cooperation. I don't really feel like the signs are separate as much as it's like being in one big house and we're all in different rooms. So, let's say if the 7th house is the bed, well, it wouldn't be the bedroom. That would be either the 12th house or the 8th house, more or less the 12th house. So you're going to be dealing with whatever happens in that bedroom. And if that bedroom doesn't have an ensuite, then you might have to go find the bathroom somewhere. And so, but if you're in a renovated house, you might have a nice ensuite. I don't know if you're getting what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Joe. His poop is good now. Um, I think it had something. We've been detoxing him from the inside out, thinking maybe he's had a little bacterial something inside of him. So it's starting to work that way. He's a very funky little doggy. Okay, here we go. On to our Taurus rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our tarot card is, oh, thank you. The 10 of Pentacles. This is a lovely card. It's a very traditional card, traditional money. It is very Taurian, honestly. Not only is it an earth sign, it represents the family, our family history. It represents, all the elements are here. Traditional money. So I want to look and see, because I've been wanting to feel more stability lately. I'll tell you, financial stability. And I think part of it is because I've been so focused on trying to build things that I've been pushing a lot out where I didn't before. And so I've allowed myself to get off balance in knowing that things come. Like, this is a card for me that makes me feel like money isn't a struggle. Resources are not a struggle, both with human people and opportunity, because the dogs are here, the grandparents are here, the children are here, the mom and dad are here. So everybody's represented here. And then there's also plenty of bounty. So how do we check into that bounty? Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Shanti, the angel of peace. The second is Archangel Michael, asking to have courage. Teresa's about worry, and Archangel Raphael is about balancing. I don't like to use the word healing because none of us are broken. We are all being offered an opportunity to see how the light and the dark serve each other. Ask anyone who's been on Survivor. To be in the sunshine too long is like frying like an egg, and being in the shade too long is too cool. We need balance. Shanti's being joined by Merlin, representing balance. All right, Taurus. And then we have the eagle joining Archangel Michael. Teresa's being joined by the letting go card. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the truth card. All right, so here we have Uranus and the North Node transiting through Taurus. This is very powerful energy, as in the North Node is where we're ravenous for an experience, where we really want, we have a pull, a passion, a desire that can be a little bit myopic. Like, sometimes I think the North Node doesn't really look too much about collateral damage as it's rushing towards what it wants. And in Taurus, it's going to want financial security, home security, to know that everything is good. Now we have Uranus in there, and Uranus, which rules nervous breakdowns, but at this time, it's about liberation. It's about actually seeing a wisdom of whatever dips might have been to actually bring you up to a place of knowing that this is how we go. It's a little bit of a roller coaster ride, because Shanti is the angel of peace and Merlin offers alchemy, money, justice, and balance. And I think this is a time when Taurus, also a fixed sign, gets to have courage in their connection to spirit and start to go about things in a whole different way. I was talking with Juan yesterday, and we were talking about a theory about different chart aspects and how the chart itself is sort of lined up where the planets cluster. And there was a bucket was one of the dynamics. And so we were talking about that, and my handle on my bucket is the moon. My moon is in Taurus. And so what I've learned as I've gone through life is that my emotional rudder is the truth of my manifestation. So as I remember that part of my balance is trusting that there is a wisdom to everything, and finding my inner peace and having the courage to depend on spirit every once in a while. You know what? Maybe now is not a time to try to, plow the field, but rather to relax and allow spirit to bring to me evidence that I'm safe, because this is all about letting go of fear and worry. And worry and fear are a focus, and that focus is like a magnet. And I don't want to be so worried that I'm magnetizing the things I don't want. And I feel like Taurus It's about, I guess this is how I kind of want to put it. It's very easy to believe that we can manifest the negative. It's very challenging sometimes to believe we can manifest what we actually want. And all of this feels like sitting more solidly in the idea that if you build it, it will come. Because the truth of the matter is, you're about to have a healing, a balancing, an epiphany, because whatever your deepest truth is, you have value. And okay, let me kind of, my brain. The second house of Taurus naturally rules your self-worth. So as you connect Taurus, moon, rising, sun, and stelliums, if you have a stellium, super important for you to connect to your self-worth, because that will start to build a momentum that will give you a sense of peace and financial security to pursue your dreams, to pursue your voice and what's important to you, to create possessions and dynamics which you love, that make you feel cozy and warm, and that there will be a flow. It's not going to happen in chunks and kind of big ups and downs, because as you're aware of your focus, as you're aware of, it's not about being in an endless state of peace like I've had a lobotomy, but knowing that everything has an up and a down. That's what balance is. Then you'll feel a little less vulnerable during the wobble. Yeah, there's a lot going on. The moon is close to that. I'm sorry. The super full moon in Capricorn is within 7-8 degrees of Pluto. So it's going to be very interesting to look at that. I'm doing a video on that. I didn't want to do it here because I think it deserves a little more attention. There's a lot of polarization right now. All right, let's look at our final sign today is Gemini. Let's see what's going on. All right, Gemini, it's time to take care of yourself. The Five of Pentacles is not an easy energy, okay? It is a card that represents a bit of rejection. It can represent a challenge with our health, but it also represents a solution that the characters within the card are not looking at. And even if we look at the guy on the crutches, he sees a solution. He sees the warmth of the church, but they don't appear to be going into it. So let's see what this is about, because I think this might be about a solution that appears, but Gemini may be stuck in that back and forth. And if you're too much in your thoughts of what if it doesn't work out, or what if it isn't sustainable, or what if, then you may have a solution sitting right before you that you don't accept, and that just makes your road a little more challenging. All right, let's see. Our first angel is Maya, the angel of schooling and education. The second is Yvonne, of vulnerability. The third is Layla, our connection to the divine. And Bridget's about looking deeper into a situation. Maya is being joined by the communications card. Yvonne is being joined by the dog. Layla's being joined by the movement card, and Bridget's being joined by the truth. You know, as I look at this, I feel as if Maya is teaching Gemini something about their self-talk. It's so interesting to me because when I have challenges, I get caught between wanting to feel supported and sharing my challenges. And sometimes I do share them. And then I get nervous about focusing in on the challenge too much. I get worried that if I'm like, sometimes I worry about affirmations. Sometimes I worry that when I'm doing the affirmation, I'm literally in scarcity. And I feel like this is where Spirit's been working with me at almost a deeper level to really check into my communication and to check the wisdom of what my challenge is. So I want to offer you this. As I've been going through this dip lately, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not, you guys will have to let me know, but my experience of other people's experience of me is that no matter the challenge, I got it. I'll figure it out. I know all this. I don't really need support. And this puts me in a weird vibration. So the reason I bring that up is because I think what Spirit is telling me is that on some level, I agree with the stories that I don't like. And it's time for me to start to tell a new story, to start to do a what if. If I can't get to the new story, well, what if something changes? Because I think that this is all about your self-talk. And I think that there's a solution that could be presented, but the self-talk has been so much in what we've already experienced that doesn't work. And if we listen honestly, between the news and the drug commercials on TV, I feel like I'm being pummeled with really information that just puts me in a constant state of fear. And so the reason I say that is because now is a time to be vulnerable and loyal to yourself. And I think this is about being maybe censoring some of the communications, not only that you put out, but that you receive. Because as you connect with Spirit, I believe that those challenges will turn to wisdom. And wisdom is not garnished through ease. Wisdom is garnished through challenge and then the reconciliation of the experience. Because as we look deeper, we'll find our truth. And I think oftentimes the human believes that there is something that will be good for them or something that will save them, but there's still a compromise involved. There's still when I think about it, maybe these two characters don't want to go into the church because they don't believe in religion. But at the same time, maybe in the compromising of you don't have to be the same as me, we can find a solution. So I think that there's something about the opportunity for your self-talk to be in alignment, that the universe is working for you as you become more loyal and vulnerable to that self-talk that is standing in favor of what you want. Then you spend time, Spirit, thank you, not only for giving me evidence, but for letting me take in that evidence. This is what I noticed so much about myself, is that I could see and literally state, oh, there's a sign they're giving me support. There's a sign there. There's a sign there. But inside, I just kept feeling the worry. I kept feeling that. And so I had to dig deep and say, deep down inside, I really think I'm okay. But it's hard for me to really get there and feel it. And I need that support. I need to have Spirit show me and educate me and now I go to the idea of the communications card being double Gemini. I want to experience it in my everyday life. I want it to be taught to me through an experience, not just a conceptual thing, not just something I read about, but actually experience in my physical world. And I want to offer this too, because if for some reason you're having some challenges with your health, and you do not want to take a traditional route, okay, because I could consider this traditional, then your conversation with Spirit is, thank you for leading me to and teaching me things that I didn't know before. I think you guys know that I'm a big fan of the medical medium. I don't really like listening to him. He's kind of intense for me, honestly, but I like his material when I read it. And in his coaching, I have found my body responding in very favorable ways. So while I'm not perfect at anything, I do think that there's an opportunity for Gemini to be educated about their physical health, about something that's going on. Hence, and it could be something trivial. I bought a little weird toe support thing the other day. It doesn't have to be, crazy. And then we have the vulnerability and the loyalty to yourself, and Spirit starting to show you more and more evidence that there is movement as you connect with them on a bigger level. And then you keep stretching for that deeper truth. This might be one of those situations that I'm walking through where I'm garnishing wisdom. I'm not being taken out and I'm not being rejected. Okay. Alrighty. Where did Tyler Henry come up? Is he back on TV? I haven't seen him in a long time. All right, everybody. As a final, I want to let you know I'm going to be doing that seminar next next Saturday, if you'd like to join in, you can look at the community page. It's posted there. And I will be taking people's requests or participation up until Friday. The morning of, I'm a little bit too busy to have people enroll, but you're more than welcome to enroll up until Friday. The cost is $29.99. You send me an email via the address below, and I will respond. And that's it. Okay, keep a lookout for the the full moon video in Capricorn, and I will see you all next Sunday at 11 a.m. Peace out, everybody. Be gentle with yourself this week. July's a hot month, and it's going to get hotter. So treat yourself cool.